on Prime Crime.
Someone broke into our house. I've been shot. My other family member's been shot. I need help immediately.
A suspected home invasion leaves a family shattered.
I don't see any open doors.
Who's this down here?
Hey, who are you?
My dad. Is that your dad?
What happened?
He came down. There was a man.
But as detectives dig deeper,
You know that somebody hurt your family.
Yeah.
And you know who hurt your family.
No. Well, yeah, I do.
You do.
the story told by the lone survivor begins to unravel.
It was daylight. It was hot. This person wearing all black and a ski mask and gloves, breaking in a back door, it didn't add up.
Hey there, everybody, I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime. This is where we break down some of the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. When a call comes in about a possible break-in in an upscale neighborhood in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, officers aren't sure what they're going to be walking into. It's a crime which leaves investigators wondering, is the caller a victim, or is he hiding a darker truth?
Lynn County Sheriff, where is your emergency? I've been shot. My other family member's been shot. I need help immediately. Okay, sir, stay on the line.
It's early morning, June 15th, 2021. Police get a 911 call saying an intruder has broken into a family home.
Okay, what's going on?
Someone broke in.
Okay.
I've been shot.
You've been shot?
My dad's been shot.
Hold on just a second. Are they still there?
No, they left.
Did they come inside the house?
Yeah.
It was before 8:30 a.m. Police received a 911 call from Alex Jackson, and he said that there was an intruder that had broken into their home.
Where were you shot at?
Downstairs.
No, on your body.
Foot.
In your
Left
foot?
foot.
Do you know who broke in?
No.
Did you get a look at them?
No.
Could you tell if it was a man or a woman?
Man. I think I spooked him off.
Do you know how they got in the house?
The back door, I think. It's open, so...
Burglaries don't necessarily have to stick to a certain script. There are certain characteristics of a burglary that we come to expect. Daytime burglaries usually result in push-in burglaries or going to a less visible part of the house, breaking in through a window, kicking in a back door, something of that nature.
You're doing great, Alex. You're doing good. Is anybody else home with you?
My sister?
Your sister? Where's she at?
Her bedroom?
What's your sister's name?
Where?
I just want to make sure that we know who's supposed to be in that house, okay? This person that you saw in your house, did they leave out the back door?
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
I don't know.
You don't know? 10 minutes ago?
Maybe?
Do you remember what color shirt or what color hair this guy had? Anything about him?
Black?
You think it was a black male or a black shirt?
Both?
When he's asked to describe the intruder, he simply describes him as a male black with no specific features, no real description of his clothing, his age. One could argue that this was an individual who was in shock after just seeing his family gunned down.
He probably was in shock, I'm sure, but he didn't give a lot of details to the dispatcher. She was trying to draw it out of him.
Just you and your sister in the house, right?
Yeah.
No parents or grandparents, animals?
My mom's here, too.
Okay, so you, your sister, and your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad's here.
Do you know if mom and sister are safe? Did the guy go upstairs?
Well, I don't see them.
Alex, do you have any weapons downstairs? Any guns, knives, anything like that?
No, but there's a gun on the floor.
There is? That's not yours?
It's ours, but we got shot by it.
So he took your gun and shot you?
Yes.
In this case, lots of potential people responding to the scene, including police. So when they got there to the Jackson home, I don't think they knew what they were going to find.
I've got officers in the back and the front. They're just trying to get mom and sister to come to the door if they're there, okay? That's why they're ringing your doorbell. Could sister and mom be gone, do you think?
Hopefully.
Do you think you know who did this to you?
No.
Officers arrive on scene, but there's a lot of confusion.
This is the very last house at the dead end on the right, correct?
You have to realize that this is a fairly affluent community in Cedar Rapids, and it's also a quiet community. And so when they arrive at the house, they don't really hear anything.
This sounds if there's people in the house, there's no reason they can't come out. This is sounding All right, well, I'm gonna go around to the back. I'm gonna see if I can get eyes.
This is sounding I'm just gonna knock.
I don't see any open doors.
We're wondering if it's not a swatting call.
They're trying to get information from dispatch. Is the perpetrator still inside? Where are people? Where should we go? They classify it as a potential swatting situation. A swatting situation is when people kind of give a false call just to get an officer's reaction or get police there, and it's really nothing.
The back door is open. All the shades are drawn, so I can't really see anything.
I'm getting no answer to the door. Shot?
Every door and window in this home were locked except for the one that was on the lower level basement backside of the home.
It takes them a while to even get into the house, and then they're confronted with the horror of Jan laying on the floor. There's a rifle next to him. He doesn't look like he's alive at that point. And then they hear Alex's voice.
Police department! Where are you at?
We got contact with one subject in the house.
You down here by yourself?
There is a subject down.
Can you put your hands out to the side where I can see them?
Oh, I have my hand on my foot.
115, multiple victims. One has a gunshot wound. The other is wounded in the leg.
Who's this down here? Hey, who are you?
My dad.
Is that your dad? What happened?
He came down. There was a man.
Who shot your Who else is here?
My sister.
She's in the back?
Yeah, she's in her room.
Is she okay?
I think so.
Alex initially appeared to be distraught. He sounded to be in pain, and he didn't really talk very much about the very apparent injuries to his father.
Third victim. Third victim? Yeah.
When they eventually get inside, they have their guns drawn. They're going from room to room to see if there is in fact an intruder still there.
Watch my back. Police department! Sound off if you're here!
When they realize he's not there, that there's no intruder, they come upon a pretty horrific scene. There is blood everywhere. There is Jan Jackson laying in the living room. And then Sabrina, Alex's sister, is in her bedroom.
To the officers, it's now apparent that this isn't just a break-in. It's a violent crime scene.
Okay, I'm gonna go in here. Looks like a master bedroom. Fourth victim! That could be the wife. Yep.
692, we have a fourth victim, upstairs bedroom.
They weren't expecting this. They were told that this was a burglary. What turned out to be just supposed to be a simple call of somebody breaking in. Maybe there's somebody that's been shot. That also now we have 2 dead bodies and we have another one injured. They go upstairs to continue the protective sweep and they find Melissa Jackson dead off the bed.
So we had triple homicide?
Hey, we got him. Is anybody down tending to him?
They're starting to put together that this is not what we were called for, that this is going to be a triple homicide.
The Jackson family, there was Jan and Melissa, who were the mother and the father, and then they had Sabrina, and she was 19. Alex Jackson was their son, who was 20 at the time. Alex and Sabrina had been in college. Alex had been like an Eagle Scout in high school. He played in the high school band, and so had Sabrina. I believe she played the oboe and he played the flute.
Jan worked in IT, and Melissa, she was retired, but was a photographer. They kept to themselves. They were very quiet about things. They did not have a lot of local friends. They didn't have any other family in the area.
Investigators are now confronted with a storm of unanswered questions. Up next, the hunt is on for a killer, but could the culprit be closer than they realize?
So you got some water in your hands too. Do you mind if I take some photos of that here real quick? You I think that's my foot blood.
Alex, what happened?
There was a man,
What man?
a tall man.
Okay. I think he's in shock about everything.
Police are investigating the tragic triple homicide of Jan, Melissa, and Sabrina Jackson after their 20-year-old son and brother, Alexander Jackson, called 911 to report an intruder in the family home. When officers arrive, they get a closer look around and take stock of the crime scenes spread across several rooms.
The first thing that law enforcement needs to do is figure out what happened. If it was an intruder, is this a person that came to steal something and then just came upon the family and then killed them? Is this someone that intentionally came for the purpose of killing this family?
First one right here, shot in the head. Watch out, you don't step on the rounds. Multiple gunshot wounds.
Okay. Dad's down with a gunshot wound to the head. Okay. There's a female DOA in the bedroom over there. Okay. Mom's DOA upstairs. Okay. I believe this is his son. He was hit in the foot. Okay. We are not sure what.
No idea. There is a rifle on the ground here.
There's a rifle next to Jan. That has to be tested. Is that the weapon that fired the fatal shots? But at that moment, they don't know if there's more than one weapon involved.
Where's the next one? Right here. Another gunshot to the head. Okay. I don't know where the entrance went. Jesus Christ. Another teenager.
Jan, the father, was shot 5 times. He was shot in the chest, neck, back, all of them piercing vital internal structures. And from that, he has injuries on his face from falling over. Sabrina was shot twice. Melissa was shot twice, one near the left eye and the other in the head, both of those piercing the brain.
The first priority is getting Alex to the hospital, and investigators must move quickly to figure out who could have done this. But once they get in the ambulance, Alex starts talking, unprompted.
I ran into him? You ran into who? The man. Okay. You ran into him how?
I hit him with like a fist or like kind of.
Okay.
It's charged.
So
Yeah, my foot.
You were sleeping in the porch?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what happened? Did you hear gunshots or what?
Yeah.
And then saw somebody in your house?
Yeah.
Alex, who opened the back door?
I don't know. Maybe he did.
You only saw one guy?
Yeah.
One gun?
Yeah.
There's almost a nonchalant way about Alex Jackson. I think he almost chuckles at one point. It's almost like he has no grasp or concept that his entire family has been killed.
What your dad do? Computers. He does IT. She's a photographer. She's really good.
Once they arrive at the emergency room, Alex continues talking, and at times he repeats what he claims he saw that morning.
There was a man above your dad. Okay. Is that all you want to say?
I think you do it right now.
What happened to you?
I pushed and tried to take the gun. And well, see what happened.
So you tried to take the gun from the guy?
Yeah.
And then that happened. Okay.
He's in pain, which you can understand if he was shot in the foot. But he's still not saying a whole lot. He's still just kind of saying the same story, and he says he didn't see who it was. He does ask if they found his parents or if they found his sister and how are they, but nobody's really answering his questions.
Then, detectives get more of the story.
Can we start out with like last night, maybe? Like, what time did you get home last night? Or
I was home all day.
Okay. What time did you go to bed?
11, I think.
And where did you sleep at?
On the porch.
How come you slept on the porch? Were you normally
That's
sleeping?
nice, okay.
Were you the last one to go to bed?
Maybe. I think my mom was still walking around.
The investigators did ask Alex what led up to this, what led up to the night, anything happened, and he basically said nothing out of the ordinary happened. They had spent the night together, they had dinner, they watched movies.
Who lives with you at the house?
My mom, dad, sister, and dog.
What time did you wake up this morning?
I woke up and heard gunshots. I went inside.
You take your time, Daddy.
He's taller than me, I think. I don't know where he was there. I heard him downstairs, so I went downstairs. He was messing with my dad's gun.
Did he have a mask on?
Oh yeah, one of those ski masks or whatever.
Did you see his hair?
No.
What about his shoes?
I think they're green.
Again, they ask him questions about the intruder, about what the intruder looked like, how it was that the intruder came in throughout the questioning, whether it be in the house, in the ambulance, at the hospital. He's not very specific. He describes him as male black. He describes something that they're wearing. He describes at one point the guy cursing, but he really doesn't give any substantive descriptions of this person such that one would expect they'd ever be able to find that person.
He was messing with your dad's gun. And then what happened?
Well, he was messing with her. And killed my dad, I think. He was on the floor. And I ran at him.
You ran at the guy with the gun?
Yeah.
Then what happened?
I pushed him.
Did he say anything to you?
Quite deep, I pushed.
Quite deep?
Yeah, deep close.
What did he say?
You. I think I grabbed the gun. And let my go. I fired. And then, obviously, that happened.
He fired it?
Yeah.
And it shot you in the foot?
Yeah, well, I think I fell. And I saw him running. But I don't care. I was on my phone. And then I pulled up.
Investigators begin to realize many details of Alex's account aren't quite adding up, so their focus begins to narrow on Alex himself.
Do you think someone was upset with your family?
If it's that way, I don't know what.
You don't know who or what they'd be upset about? How do you feel about your family?
I love my family.
Do they ever do anything that upsets you?
Oh yeah, they're family.
He very rarely showed any remorse for his family. He started to express, like, are they okay? It was like a rehearsed speech that he had ready. Like he said, like, I love my family. I love my parents and my sister. You may not believe me, but I love them. There was no passion or raw emotion.
He's acting like it's just like no big deal in a way, the way he talks, but it is probably going back to he could still be in shock, or maybe he's just an awkward kid. He says he loves his family. He doesn't have any problem with his family. And they keep pushing that because they're trying to get more answers about it. But he just says that it wasn't him.
Despite Alex's statements, the evidence at the scene appears to be pointing in a different direction. Coming up, detectives wonder if Alex Jackson is telling the whole truth.
I would just like to understand why. If you don't want to talk about all the details, that's fine.
I didn't do this. If that's what you're trying to say.
By the way, as you can see from a story like this, the content that we're covering here on Prime Crime just shows you that the world is not a safe place. And one of the things that we try to do is partner with companies that can help to protect you. And that includes Home Title Lock. Because I don't know if you know this, but apparently home title fraud is rampant right now. Yes, so I met with the people over at Home Title Lock. They're our incredible partner and sponsor. I'm not going to lie to you. They freaked me out. This is an example of a fraudulent quitclaim deed, got filled out with my information, a forged signature, fake notary seal. Not only can my property just get transferred behind my back, but the scammers, they go after the equity. They take out loans using your home as collateral. They do all that, they disappear, they leave you with a legal and financial nightmare. But this is where Home Title Lock comes in, to give you peace of mind, especially with their triple lock protection. That gets you 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any changes, and restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you. So to protect your home, you go to HometitleLock.com/primecrime. Use our promo code PrimeCrime because you get a 30-day free trial of the triple lock protection and a free title history report to make sure you aren't already a victim.
What's perplexing to me right now is for me to understand why you would have hurt your family.
Why wouldn't? Something happened in your house, and we're just trying to figure out why.
Detectives aren't exactly sure what led to an Iowa family being gunned down in their own home. But the lone survivor of the family, Alexander Jackson, tells investigators that he awoke to gunshots and fought with the intruder.
Your dad was there laying on the ground, and then you called 911.
Well, I called it after I crawled away.
Was your dad saying anything, or did you talk to him at all? I know it's
But when officers do a sweep of the area surrounding the Jacksons' home, Alex's story begins to fall apart.
You guys hear anything? Did you guys hear any shots?
Cedar Rapids Police K-9. Anybody in the area, sound off or you will be bit by my dog. Last and final warning.
Officer Curtis Buckles and his K-9 partner Corsa, what they need to first figure out is there another person that was there? They were told that this person escaped or left the back door area and took off running. They wanted to see if they could pick up the scent of another individual. They checked the trails or areas where someone may have gone. Those weren't disturbed. They looked for fingerprints. They looked for DNA. They looked for anything to show that someone broke in to disturb something, to take something. There's no indication of that.
We need to talk to these construction workers though at some point. Make sure no one, she's not picking anything up coming through here, so. I've walked all this, and the only place she had interest was right here.
Back at the hospital, detectives confront Alex on the inconsistencies in his story.
after he shot you, he left?
I think so.
Okay. Did he still have the gun?
I don't know.
Okay, where else would it have gone? Did you get it away from him?
I don't remember. I know we wrestled over it.
The investigators during all this, they're like at his home, going through everything. What was strange was that there was nothing amiss in the house. Nothing was turned over. Everything was in its place. There was even, I believe, a puzzle nearby on a table that none of the pieces were on the floor.
When we stepped out, we talked to our coworkers. They were out at your house. Okay. We went through your house, went through the neighborhood, and yeah, house. Do you want to tell us what happened? What really happened?
I went downstairs, and the man was there. I fought him. I got shot. And I think he left.
Alex, that's not what the evidence is showing. What do you mean?
The fact that it was daylight, not just daylight, but it was hot. This date will stick out in my memory forever based on just the sheer temperature that it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. So the description of this person wearing all black and a ski mask and gloves, walking through this affluent neighborhood in broad daylight, it didn't add up.
If there had been a person there would be some evidence that he showed up. There is no evidence of that. No one else was there.
Something bad happened, and there's a reason why something bad happened. And I know you know that reason, but I don't. And I want to understand it.
But I don't know.
Well, you do. What happened that led to the events today? What caused this?
I don't know. I just woke up in the morning.
What really caught officers' attention was if someone had come in, broken into the house, used the gun, shot the family, and then shot Alex, why would they leave the gun behind? The gun that was used was the Jackson's family gun. It was actually Alex Jackson's gun. It was a Brown .22 rifle.
Do you want our report to reflect that there was a guy in your house that there's no evidence of?
Well, yeah, of course there's a guy in my house. I saw him.
Listen to me. Do you want us to write down in the report that there was a guy in your house, that there's no video of him ever showing up or leaving? Do you want us to put that down, or do you want to give us some sort of an explanation that makes sense?
I want the guy found.
The Jackson home had external surveillance cameras set up all along the outside of the home. All of the surveillance videos were on and live and recording, except that one in the backyard that would have specifically caught this phantom burglar.
What do you think about what happened to your sister? What happened to her? She alright?
You know that somebody hurt your family.
Yeah.
And you know who hurt your family.
No. Well, yeah, I do.
You do?
Not really.
What do you mean?
It's like, guy.
There's not a guy. That didn't happen.
So the person that hurt your family was inside your home.
Who?
Wow.
It's not me.
You didn't hurt your family?
No, I would never.
There's one key question still on everyone's mind. If Alex did kill his parents and sister, why would he want them dead?
Do you work anywhere? No? Where'd you go to school at?
Iowa.
Oh, are you still in Iowa?
The problem law enforcement had with this case is here you had what seemed from the outside to be a fairly normal family dynamic. Alex Jackson had no history of criminality. He had no history of mental health issues. And no one seemed to have any basis to believe that there would be any motive why he would want his family dead.
How did your dad feel about your choices or life choices?
I guess he wants me to more zero with Mom.
Have you ever had any problems with him? Like serious problems with him? Like him judging your life or choices?
He's proud of me.
Yeah, how about Mom?
Yeah.
Same? Sister?
I guess.
Alex said that his dad had threatened to kick him out or told him he would have to move out if he didn't get a job because he had been going to college, but he dropped out.
Tell me more about your dad. Does he get along with people in general, including you? Then why are you guys having so many problems with him? What about him telling you need to move out, you're not going to get a job?
Well, that's just because what I should do.
If I'm going to pay for half of your college, you're going to get a job. You're going to pick the other half. You're not showing any effort. You haven't shown a drop of effort to go get a job.
Motive was something that plagued us. Could it have been money? Absolutely. At the time, he only had $30 to his name. He did not have a job. He did not have savings. There was a fair amount of wealth and assets to be attained by whoever the surviving heir was.
Are we going to find anybody else's fingerprints on those shell casings besides you and your dad?
I don't think so.
Are you going to continue to tell me that you had nothing to do with this? You are.
The whole story there is.
No, it's not. You're going to continue with that story.
What is my story? Tell me about
It is your story. It's a great story.
It's the correct story.
Well, in your mind.
This was our first triple homicide here for at least 30 years. To have this type of brutal crime scene, to have this type of murder happen in your own community just really, really took back everyone. No one could have ever imagined when the information came out that this was caused by a 20-year-old kid that anyone would kill their parents and their sister in this manner.
This young man with no criminal record and no previously reported mental health issues is accused of killing his own family. Up next, is there enough evidence to bring murder charges against Alexander Jackson?
You weren't thinking straight, Alec. You weren't. People that are thinking straight don't do these kind of things. They talk themselves out of it.
By the way, we plugged in Alexander Jackson into Truthfinder, our sponsor, the powerful background checker. It is so easy to do. You just plug in a name, location, and you get all of these details, where someone lives, works, their criminal history. We use it all the time at Law and Crime to get information on the people that we report on. But I'll tell you what, even if you don't work in true crime, this can be a great resource, because think about it. This is one of the largest public record search services in the United States. And with a paid subscription service, you can get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. And that includes looking up registered sex offenders that might be in an area too. And right now you can get 50% off of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/LCPrimeCrime. Hope you check it out.
You're brainstorming how to get your ass out of this trouble you're in.
The gig's up, bud.
I didn't do it.
Detectives believe they know who's responsible for killing Jan, Melissa, and Sabrina Jackson. Despite his claims of innocence and contention that a masked intruder is the real shooter, son and brother Alexander Jackson is taken into custody. But investigators have a few more questions to hash out.
We took into account your theory about a ski-masked intruder coming in with the worst description on the planet. You gotta just be honest with us, man. We know no one left.
Well, I'm telling you how I saw it, you know?
Right. You still think someone was there?
Yeah. Do I know someone was there?
Who's using your phone at 6 a.m. to get on social media?
Maybe me, I don't know. I don't remember.
How could you use it at 6 if you were asleep till 8?
Alexander had told investigators that he was sleeping outside on that screened-in porch with his dog all night without his cell phone. 20-year-old gamer, no cell phone on the porch.
Alex Jackson claimed that he was awoken by the gunshots, yet they were able to show that several hours before this alleged intruder came in, Alex Jackson was awake and on the phone.
If they came there to murder people like you said, then they would have had to get lucky enough that you had left a gun out for them. And then be able to know right where everybody's at and shoot everyone and get in a fight with the biggest person in the house and be able to escape. You cannot sit there and look me in the eye and say, yeah, well, that did happen. Are you ashamed? Is that why you don't want to tell us?
Well, I don't want to tell you because I didn't do it.
Well, you're being charged with murder. your mom, your dad, and your sister. And you're gonna go to jail.
As investigators strengthen their case against Alexander Jackson, one critical question still troubles detectives. Who shot Alex in the foot?
When Alex began to interact with law enforcement, he tried to appear to be so hurt that he couldn't walk, that he couldn't move, that he couldn't check on his family members, even though there were footprints throughout the basement of this home.
The couch that was next to the stairs, there was this big pile of blood that initially we thought maybe that's where he was shot, but there was also a large puddle of blood near the corner of his bed. His footprints only went in one direction. His footprints only went out of his room. Never did his footprints go into his room or go down the hallway.
The investigators figured out that, Alex had shot himself in the foot.
He walked himself and his bloody foot out of the bedroom and up the hallway and deposited that murder weapon next to his father.
Alexander Jackson is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of his parents Jan and Melissa and his younger sister Sabrina. A year and a half later, Alex goes on trial, facing 3 life sentences.
Alexander Jackson, I want you to think that he had the perfect family life. That his mother, Melissa, his father, Jan, his sister, Sabrina, they all got along great. And it's not what Mr. Jackson claimed it to be.
They appeared to be close-knit, and we were able to gather that interpretation from a lot of the photographs that we found throughout the home. But then there was this gap in time where it seemed like the family interactions just ceased for this 4-year period. We knew that there were some disagreements, for lack of a better word, about politics. It appeared that Alex and his father were very conservative. The sister appeared to be a very liberal person. His sister and he argued a lot, according to Sabrina's journals.
On June 15th of 2021, a 911 call went out early in the morning hours. That call was made by the defendant, stating someone had broken into our house and shot me and my family. They find no evidence of any sign of anyone else inside that home that morning, except for the defendants, Sabrina, Melissa, and Jake.
Prosecutors point out one key piece of evidence which sets Alexander Jackson apart from any other possible suspect.
This gun was shot more than 11 times on that June 15, 2021 day, meaning it had to be loaded more than once.
It was a unique gun, and so somebody would have to be familiar with that gun if that's the gun they used, which that's what the evidence points to.
The murder weapon was on the floor just mere feet from his father. As our investigator began to process the firearm, he himself could not figure out how to load this gun. Trained law enforcement weapon processor had to watch a YouTube video of this specific model of firearm to figure out how to load it. Not only did this phantom burglar come into the Jackson home to hurt people without a weapon, but he used a weapon that just happened to be laying out on the fireplace mantle and figured out how to load it and then reload it during this killing spree.
With this evidence, this knowledge, this truth, you will see that the person responsible for the deaths of Sabrina Jackson, Jan Jackson, Melissa Jackson, was caused by their own family member, the defendant.
In a circumstance where you have 3 people and they're killed in different rooms of the house, and yet no one seems to have gotten to a phone Why isn't there more of a struggle, more of a fight, or more of a hiding, or something like that? Maybe because the perpetrator's known to them. They're confronted with Alex, and they're not afraid.
The lack of evidence in this case was as important, if not more important, than the physical evidence that was recovered. The lack of a fatal or attempted fatal wound on Alexander Jackson, coupled with all of the other physical evidence that only could point at Alexander Jackson, were how we pieced this case together.
The defense, however, suggested investigators had tunnel vision, accusing them of zeroing in on Alex from the start.
Having just seen his father lying in a pool of blood on the ground, with a gunshot bleeding from his foot, in shock, officers wasted no time at all accusing Alexander Jackson of killing his family. And although they interrogated him for over 7 hours, Officer Matt Denlinger and Sarah Lucina had never even stepped foot on the crime scene. It took about 35 minutes before they decided that Alexander Jackson was their suspect.
We knew that the defense were going to argue that we did not exhaust all of the leads that we could. We didn't do a thorough investigation to look for other suspects.
There are some things in the investigation that could have been done differently, could have been done better. Part of their strategy was to poke holes in the investigation.
Alexander Jackson never wavered in telling officers what happened to him that morning. He told them over 13 different ways that it was not him. But charging Alex was the easiest route for officers.
And when it came to the subject of fingerprints, aside from Jackson's prints, because it was his own gun, could there be someone else?
Officers didn't even bother to test whether there are any fingerprints or DNA on the bullets later removed from that gun, or from any bullets that were dropped on the floor.
There was an unidentified fingerprint that was found on the rifle. They were going to also point to that piece of evidence that there is also a possibility that there was another suspect.
Officers found no other blood on Alex except from his own body. Officers found 2 separate prints on that rifle that was on the scene. One belonging to Alex, the other print belonging to an unidentified person.
The other fingerprint most likely was Alex. It didn't have enough points to say who it is one way or the other.
Following days of testimony, the case is handed off to the jury, and when the verdict was read after 5.5 hours of deliberations, Alexander Jackson is emotionless.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Alexander Jackson, guilty of the offense of murder in the first degree.
The defense doesn't waste any time. They file a motion for a new trial even before the sentencing hearing less than 2 months later, but the motion is ultimately denied, and that is when Alexander Jackson learns his fate.
This set of murders shook this community to its core.
Mr. Jackson is adjudicated to be guilty of 3 counts of murder in the first degree. In each count, he is sentenced to be confined for the remainder of his life with no possibility of parole.
I'm an Eagle Scout as well. So, you're taught these values and these ethics that you should live by. The Eagle Scout badge has 2 stars on it, and those stars indicate truth and knowledge. The truth that Alex was trying to tell, that wasn't the truth.
In all of my career, I have never prosecuted a triple homicide of family members killed by someone who was a part of that family, who was supposed to love and cherish the family that they were born into. It was an absolute tragedy, an absolutely inexplainable, unjustified, senseless murder. Even though we were able to obtain 3 guilty verdicts, there are still 3 innocent people who lost their lives with absolutely no explanation and no justification for that.
In the end, here's what we know. Jan, Melissa, and Sabrina were brutally murdered. And we know that Alexander Jackson is the one who committed this absolutely atrocious crime. But what we don't know, And what we may never know is why he did this. That is the part that still plagues us. Why a man would cut short the lives of 3 people who were supposed to be his whole world. That's all we have for you here on this episode of Prime Crime, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jesse Weber, and as always, stay safe.